Everyone center yourself. What I'm doing now is I'm adjusting chords within me, this human being, the one, in the heart chakra. By doing it in this body, it's also adjusting your chords. So just notice the direction, being up and down in the center toward the heart chakra. Now what we are also doing is we're resonating these bones. So your bones will pick up the same resonance. So you can go to where I came from and where I go. It's not a thought thing or a word thing. It's more inclined to a feeling thing, but it's more than that. Because within the feeling of it, there's a knowledge of what you're doing. And an anticipation of the experience of doing it. So the heart's now, your physical heart, is going through a conversation process within itself. Peace. And your heart, your physical heart, is reclaiming territory within you. For instance, your ability to think differently, because you've already had those other experiences with the old thought processes of doubt, anger, judgment, etc. So over that, you have wisdom now. And, well, you've heard these words. Within the expression of the space you are in, you only have the now, the feeling of it. And you run ahead in desires and times and things. And you run behind in the judgments and revelations and conclusions of how you got here. You're missing your now for the opening, what you term the expansion of the heart chakra. Because when that expansion happens, everything is renewed, remanifested. You've heard that you manifest your body on and off, but you're so fast you're not aware. Or slow, depending on your process. And you miss the moment of now, right? Where the heart chakra can breathe itself. There are lips there, literally, in the heart chakra. Literally lips. And they do the same thing these lips do, that they embrace differently. There's going to be the need for a new breathing manifesto. You're going to have to realize the dolphins and whales breathe through a blowhole in the back. You have the same function. When you utilize that orifice there, and there's two in the chakras up here in your shoulders, then you are in the consciousness of swimming in the sea with the whales and dolphins. And in your old system, what you would term the Spirit of God is upon the whales. And the frequency within the dolphins in internship for those entities to become whales. Same as you are in an internship to become the Christed one you are supposed to be. You're going to find out pretty soon. I say next month, actually, next 2 weeks. The necessity for understanding the energy of the Christed one, because that's you in there. Training. You're going to have to understand the need for the heed to the words spoken to you. You're going to begin to hear voices. We'll call them classmates now, in a manner that have failed the test, yet still have another opportunity, and they're willing to assist you now on your portion of it. But you have to be careful. You have to be careful. One of the safety nets always will be to remember the date of your birth. Whether anyone else does or not, that's not important. Because the numbers there represent a total vibration when you entered out of the uterus and formed your opinions from the vibrations of sound that connected with your bones and your flesh. That's when you started forming opinions. Realizing at a moment you didn't want to be here. You thought it was the wrong world because of the vibrational impact. Well, you're going through that reclamation process now. The vibrational portions of that thing. What's happening first, the earth is shaking. You're standing on it. You're going to shake too. The force that's making this planet shake, of course, can make you shake. You're on the spinning of her, so you don't feel it quite yet. But it's coming from the sun. They're gamma rays. And if you're not in the quiet understanding of the need for shelter, in other words, covering from the gamma rays, you're going to find out what God's bullets are like. These things hurt. They hurt. So this summer you're going to need caution as you experience your daylight walking times. Please. Because gamma rays have a tendency to interfere with the magnetic fields within your brain. Within the brain, which will cause confusion in your auric fields where your minds are. That's the part of you that remembers when you die, you remember you had a body. The mind is what's left. That's what's left. You don't have a heart. You don't have a brain. You don't have physical eyes, but you have perception. So what's left? It's the mind that you've trained, and the energy in the heart chakra that you've trained for development of consciousness beyond the limited time called the illusion here. You're going through that magnetic flux now. You beings like to call them portals in the astral, etc. Descriptive phrases for a doorway. Yet it's a magnetic field doorway. You're literally passing through a magnet. It will repel some things within you, and it will attract some things within you. You do not want to be pushed to one side of the magnet. You want to stay in the center of your magnetic field, which is within the heart chakra, back to your spine. In those moments, think of yourself as a rock, crystalline rock, quartz crystal is a good idea, for the current and electricity and the magnetism flows through it. It doesn't interfere with it. Because your bones are literally becoming into that quartz frequency. That's what these crystal skulls are about. Remnants left. So you would learn, you are going to do that in that process. Now what you don't know about the crystalline skeletal structure, that's the frequency they can disappear and reappear. Just turns. The light's reflected off it or through it. Through it you can't see it. If there's function there. Turn it and you run into a glass wall. And it's consciousness that manipulates that frequency. Still. That's why we said to you, the space is going to change. You're going to need to adjust and be adjusted by the space. And it's going to be under the direction of what you're contemplating. It should be peace first. Peace first. Peace to all beings. Protection second. Peace, protection, and then joy and an inner understanding of the doing of it. How you did it. Huh? How you did it. Because this force can stop a war. Freezes the mind of bodies, performs functions of stopping space, matter. Everything stops, freezes. Then there's a slow manipulation of the judgment, retuning the frequencies in the brain. So the auric fields begin to enjoy being an auric field around a unit called you. And you'll soon learn stop impinging on everyone else's auric field to see what they're doing. Because you have a proper functioning for the elevation of the divine child you are within, the baby one. We call them the little one. It's enormous power. If it came out in its full force and anger as what is seen, nothing would be left in front of you. Wouldn't. You wouldn't be either. So you're developing this cautionary understanding, literally, in your body physical, because you're going to start feeling interiorly what that thought was you just had. And you're going to start seeing the weight of it. And by weight I mean how much time and space it takes up for the completion of that, or the accomplishment of that, or the desire of that. and how much effort, all of that. You're going to feel it. And you're going to find out that the application and doing is much easier than the thought of doing. You perfect yourself in your doing. The old thoughts add the weight when you have to drag it along. But you're becoming new now. And this process is going to accelerate weekly, actually daily, and it's occurring right now. Because when you leave here this evening, you're going to feel different. You already are. And you're going to start realizing you're going to have to even position your posture different. And you're going to become more aware of your feet and your knees after you had a thought. And you correct the thought and let the knees assume their function. Because thoughts interfere with the spontaneous movement of the body, of what it would like to do. You slow the thing down. So there's a unit there. The movement. You okay? All right. There's a. Are you nervous? No. Yeah. Sometimes as an action is to anticipate and participate, and in that anxiousness you're not really enjoying the participation and being with it. There's too much leaping ahead to what ifs and how comes. It's always in the breath and the water first. Breath first and the water. And when you see a whale come up and move its blowhole to release air and gather air, you can feel the same thing with yourself, because there's a clearing there. There's a clearing. They left it at the top of the water and they swam on. But you don't have that feeling of cleanliness. When you breathe out to release something, you move through it, and it's still there with you. You don't know how to send it up. That's the purpose of that hole back there. It's behind you, you breathe it out, and you go forward. The little one goes forward. More. So allow your spines to be erect now. Contemplate peace to all beings. That includes your relatives, your friends, and your enemies. Peace to all beings. For those that are in the adversarial position, let shame be upon them. So they keep their distance as you begin to apply your own methodology to the secret teachings you're beginning to understand that are real. Because something just moved inside you that recognized it. And this is the development of self that begins to understand and appreciate the reason for the invisible nature of God, because it's pristine and private and unique to each and every one, yet it's the same being. Same being. The confusion comes from talking about it too much. In a manner that confuses others. And gives praises to yourself only. And therefore the fall. Your body is literally a tree. You're blooming, coming about, yet you have movement with it. And if you want to understand your true nature, simply feel the wind. And I don't mean hurricanes. I mean the light breezes, and it really caresses your brain. That's what it's doing. Trying to talk through the density here. Yeah. It wants a gentleness acknowledged. Yet, the human condition doesn't pay too much attention to gentleness anymore. It wants the rough and tumble stuff. The hurricanes, the tornadoes, the floods. Brings back the memory of Noah when you're in it. It's not something you're going to enjoy. The stability comes from the ability and knowledge that your skeletal structure and bones resonate a frequency that's divine and Christ-like, and can communicate with the weather and the elementals and the energies in the space that you are in for calmness. You can calm the wind down, but you have to tell it to calm down, and you have to know who you're talking to and how to do it. And that's what you're in now. You're in that training, because you're going to experience the necessity for calm. You're going to experience it. You're already seeing the uncalm everywhere. And it's what your news media is doing to you. And you're not, well, you're aware, your government's running your news media, by the way, all of them. Let you know what you're supposed to be talking about, not some of the other things. No. No.